Hello and welcome to the Mike Guarneri podcast. This is episode 18, and today we're going to discuss another Celtic practice. Today, that practice is blessing each moment. So, to just give you a little description of it, I'm going to quote myself from my book that I released about 9 months ago, 10 Celtic Practices to Level Up Your Mind and Relieve Anxiety and Depression. So, here's my quote from my book. The Celtic practice of blessing each moment involves taking a moment to pause and acknowledge the beauty and wonder of the present moment, regardless of the circumstances. So, this is another pretty simple Celtic practice to do. Takes moments. You could do it once or many times a day. And I think this is honestly one of the more important ones because it can have an immediate effect. Yes, you need to do it over a long times too to build it up, but it can have an immediate effect. And this practice, um, similar to other ones, was done for centuries in the Celtic culture, and it was supposed to help mental health and well-being, and I have found that to be the case. So, blessing each moment, it basically cultivate a gratitude or appreciation for the small moments in our lives, small joys, beauties that we see. And we could see these things even during difficult times. Something bad is going on in your life, but you still see that rose outside, doesn't take away from the beauty of the rose. Not at least unless you let it take it away. Celtic blessing each moment also helps relieve anxiety and depression and promotes feelings of happiness and contentment. Whenever I'm getting wound up and I need to take a little de-stress or whatever, yes, people say, "Oh, count to 10, take a deep breath, close your eyes," or whatever. I've taken to blessing the moment. No matter where I look or what I think about, I could find one thing that I could say, "Hey, that's pretty damn great. Now, I'm lucky that's here. I'm lucky I could see that." It's not gonna you lose a ton of money in the stock market on your screen. It's not gonna be offset by the fact that you have a pretty little statue on your desk. But you can still appreciate that little statue and say, "Okay, it's not the end of the world. Things will be okay eventually. I have this great statue here, and it's beautiful." Something along those lines. And the way that I find it helps has a more immediate effect, it shifts the focus. As I was just saying, I stop and I look at the statue. It's shifting the focus away from any negative thoughts or emotions you might be having at that time and switches it to positive ones, which is kind of what I already described with the statue. But, anytime you can convert a negative feeling or emotion to a positive one, at least even temporarily, it's improving your mindset. And the more you do that, the easier it's going to be to change your mindset. So that's why what am I saying? Celtic blessing each moment has both almost immediate as well as long term positive benefits. So that's one of the ones I kind of like it. One of the my more favorite ones, I guess I should say. So what you should do is take a moment, appreciate the beauty of nature, the passing of the seasons, your family, anything you see, literally stop and smell the roses. And that'll even expressing some gratitude for the love and support you have from your family and friends. You know, even that's blessing a moment. The little things, they mean so much if you actually give them their due. So, I'm gonna, tell a little story 'cause I think it's hysterical. I'm not gonna tell the whole story, just part of it, and it's a story from my cousin. My cousin was a scientist, His name is Leon Letterman, and he is a Nobel laureate in physics. And he's probably the funniest scientist that ever existed. Him talking about his work and his science was like a stand-up comedy routine. And he describes one instant in his life or a time period in his life when he came back from World War II and finished his degrees at Columbia and was ready to do his doctorate at Columbia. And the university brought in an Italian physicist whose name I can't recall at this moment. And even if I had it, I'd probably butcher it. They brought in this Italian physicist to help him, my cousin Leon, with his research. So one day, Leon gets to his lab, opens the door, and there's an Italian guy there mopping the floor up, and there's all electronic equipment all around. And Leon says he was freaked out, thought the guy was going to get electrocuted or whatever else, and leaves his office and sees the head guy and says, "Hey, that new Italian custodian in there needs to be careful of electronic equipment." And the boss said, What new custodian?" Opens the door and just, "No, that's so and so from Italy here to help you with your research." Now that's funny in and of itself. But that's not the point of why I was telling the story. So this Italian physicist was kind of kooky. I guess a lot of great scientists are kooky a little bit. But every day when this Italian scientist walked into the lab, he would flip up the light switch and say, "Fantastico," and turn it off and flip it up again, "Fantastico." And he would do this for some number of times. In his way, this Italian physicist was blessing that moment, blessing the phenomenon of electricity, blessing the fact that somewhere in upstate New York by Niagara Falls or whatever, power was being generated and then being sent over power lines all the way to Columbia University in New York City and then up to this particular room so he could flip a switch and have light. And he did this every day, according to Leon. I guess I don't know how long, but for like a good amount of time. And that's not blessing nature per se, but that's kind of an exaggerated example of blessing a moment. So I'm gonna leave you there with that little story. If you haven't done so already, please go to MikeGuarneri.com and sign up for my email list. That way you're kept up to date on some cool happenings that are going to be coming up in the near future that I'm going to be announcing. So enjoy the rest of your Saturday. And until next time, stay well.